Go ahead. Camera started.
Cool. All right. Hi, Cesar. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. So here's my first question for you. Tell us what you were doing before you're up and how you heard about the program and why you decided to join.
So I was working as an assistant department manager at Fry's Electronics in Concord. There I was helping set up booths for like GP, like which items sold the most, which had like the highest point per margin. So pretty much my job was to kind of boost numbers. So I was doing that and going to school in the morning, which required a lot of like time management, because what I would do is I would work overnights and then have like an hour and a half gap between school and work.
Great.
And ultimately that led me to run into an old high school friend, and that's where I learned about the program.
So why did you decide to join?
During my time there, I became somewhat familiar with tech just on the component side, like building computers. And then they told me that this was a free program where they taught you IT skills. I was like, I mean, shoot, I'm not really, I had nothing to lose from joining the program. And it seemed great. It seemed like a great fit for me.
Okay, cool. So you touched into it a little bit, but I'd love to hear more about what in particular pulls you towards tech. Why do you want to work in tech?
It's an ever-evolving thing, and I like learning new things constantly. It keeps me busy. And just how broad it is, there's so many different things you can do in tech. Personally, I want to go into cybersecurity, and I thought I kind of had like a base knowledge about cyber when I first joined, but then I realized that there's things like architecture and then red and blue teaming that I had no idea about. But it just keeps everything kind of interesting.
What has been your biggest challenge or biggest growth area during this learning and development phase?
During L&D, it had to be kind of breaking out of my shell. Like, naturally, I'm a really introverted person, but I feel like over the course of the past couple months, I've been able to kind of communicate well with my colleagues, and that made me realize like the importance of networking.
Okay. So what have you done to overcome this challenge?
Just try to reach out to as many people, try to break out of my circle, because I've noticed I'm kind of a creature of habit, so if I get to know like a few people, I'll just stay within my circle and not really try to branch out, but I've noticed it's not helping me at all. So I've been going out of my way to kind of try to reach out to former or alumni from the program, try to pick their brains and see what they did exactly to get where they're at now.
Okay, great. And moving into internship, how will you plan ahead and ensure that this growth area, basically you're successful in internship in regards to this particular growth area?
I feel like I've already kind of taken steps to doing that. I've reached out to Marcus to try to see what it is that he can. I pretty much asked him for feedback because I haven't really received too much during L&D. I received feedback from Mike, and I tried my hardest to convert on that at first. But I mean, I feel like there's always room for improvement. That's why I've been trying to reach out to people.
Okay, great. So I'm assuming you've looked over the internship descriptions. And you mentioned that you're interested in cyber. Is that the technical internship that you're interested in?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what makes you a strong candidate for that type of internship?
I feel like I have strong communication skills. I've had the pleasure of speaking to Liam Connolly at Zynga. When I was talking to him, I kept asking him about hard skills, like what tech I should know, what tools I should get familiar with before I get sent out to internship. And it seems like to be a recurring thing where they don't really stress the technical skills that you have to have. You just need to kind of have a base knowledge, but you need to be able to communicate well within a team. And I feel like that's the strongest thing I can probably provide to that at this moment.
Okay, awesome. All right. You want to take it over, Connie?
Sure. So, Cesar, could you tell us about a time that you struggled with reliability? How did you overcome that?
I feel like reliability. I feel like I've always been pretty good with managing my time, just because I've had positions where I would have to wake up like really early in the morning, so it's never been an issue with anything in regards to that. I honestly can't think of anything.
Okay. Could you tell us about a time then that you've had to complete a large amount of work in a short period of time? How did you ensure that you both met the deadline and also ensured the high quality of work that you produced?
It probably had to be when I was working those overnight shifts at Rise Electronics, because I was kind of tasked with traveling around the district to different locations, kind of whipping their team into shape, and I had to make sure that everything was kind of done before I left, because there was no way that the company was going to pay me to go out there again, so I had to make sure that everything was spot on before I left. And then having class in the morning, I wasn't really afforded the time to kind of like lollygag while I'm there. I was like, it's strictly work, make sure everything was done, and then leave.
Okay. If you, looking back at the situation, was there anything you would have done differently?
Given my situation, I feel like when it comes to people like giving me tasks, I should have kind of learned early on when to say no, especially considering that it was during my semester in college. So knowing that I'd have an hour and a half gap between like working these 11-hour shifts and then going to class and staying for a couple more hours, I could have just told them right off the bat that it probably wouldn't work out in the long run. But I mean, I did get my work done. I expressed that a couple weeks after the fact, and they were completely fine with it.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to another question. So, let's assume, this is a scenario question, let's assume that you have a remote manager who is always busy and difficult to reach. You have significant downtime on internship and you are not sure what to do. Could you walk us through an immediate and a sort of longer term plan to address your concerns about downtime? Like, what would you do?
You said he was difficult to reach?
Yep, remote manager who's difficult to reach and is always busy.
I mean, I feel like the first step would be to try to reach out to him, if not try to see anyone that's kind of in direct contact with him and see if there's anything to do. But then again, kind of given that situation, I'd have to kind of ask around the office too, I feel, to see what it is I can do to kind of help them out. I mean, if I don't really have any tasks directly given to me, I'd have to reach out to someone to see if they can give me any work to do.
Great. I think we're ready to move on to the next
We need
section.
to do another scenario-based question.
All right.
Yeah, no worries.
I can ask.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
So this is a scenario-based question, and it says, you work on a desktop support team and are responsible for overseeing the company's electronics. Your boss tells you that they are having trouble keeping track of small electronics, for example, iPads and chargers, and wants you to build a system to fix it. What do you do?
Probably kind of set up some sort of like checkout system where people have to kind of sign in and they have like an assigned one. That way we know who had it last. I feel like it'd probably be the most practical way to kind of go about it. For small electronics like chargers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that'd probably be the most practical way to go about it.
Can you elaborate more on what you mean by the checkout system?
Just have them ask for something, maybe place it somewhere where they can't just walk up and take it out directly. They have to go through someone else to get it to them.
Any other questions, or should we move on?
I think we can move on. Yeah,
So we can stop.
we'll stop recording.